Well, that happened. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Billikens Central Postgame. I'm Matthew Rocchio. That is Eric Sontag. And because of that headline, we got to talk about one crappy ending of a game. The Billikens are no longer undefeated. They fall to 6-1 as somehow, by some weird circumstance of bad luck, they slip and fall and lose to Stanford on a final shot, 78-77. How exactly did we get here? We'll break that down. Of course, brought to you by our wonderful sponsors at My Home Bank. Check them out at myhomebank.bank. We'll talk about them very soon. But of course, our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, where the crown is yours. Just a couple more days until December 1st hits, and all the fun happens, like losing your wagers when you roll with the Billikens to win one, because they had it wrapped up at halftime, and somehow we're talking about a loss, Eric Sontag. How exactly are we talking about a loss after that halftime lead for the Billikens?
I have no idea. It's just,
Fair.
It's so frustrating because we saw that first half. I'm like, this is the team. That's their A+ game right there. It was incredible. And we've been talking about the stretch of games for weeks now, looking forward to it. They passed the first test last night in what was essentially a toss-up game with Santa Clara. You referenced the spread. This is a game SLU originally was expected to win, not easily, but a pretty solid favorite. They opened up as a 4.5-point favorite. I don't know what the hell happened, but that line cratered where the game tipped off at SLU -1.5, which was the same spread as last night. So, I was concerned somebody knew something for a line to move that much that's significant. But then after looking so great in the first half, Stanford starts packing the paint. In the second half, they made it tough on the Billikens inside. Stanford was really starting to get after on the boards in the second half. Billikens started to turn the ball over with just some horrible passes. They couldn't hit a shot. Stanford made the comeback. It's game on at that point. And then the late game execution, it looked like it was there where Quentin Jones is hitting free throws down the stretch. Deion Brown, big offensive rebound, to help get the Billikens ahead. But then they give up the offensive rebound with not boxing out well enough. Quentin Jones late getting to the shooter. Benny Geeler, we're going to remember that name. His first points of the game with that rainbow three from the corner. Shades of Grand Canyon, like we were talking about before going on the air. And they lose that game. It is just an absolute gut punch for the Billikens and their fans out there.
An 11-point halftime lead squandered. They had pushed it to about 15 at different points in the second half, and then slowly but surely, the Stanford Cardinal kept working back, got it down to 12, got it down to 8, got it down to 6, and then that's when things got a little choppy, and of course, they outscored the Billikens by 12 in that second frame to win this one 78-77. Plenty of negatives to talk about. Again, this is a team that gave away a game. I mean, you can't be giving away 11-point first half leads, especially because when we talked about this yesterday, they have been a second half team for the majority of this season. They cut out turnovers in the second half, and yet they have 4 turnovers in the first half against Stanford. Actually, I think it was 3 because I think they got one of those early in the second one. I saw the stat. And I think they had 8 turnovers in the second half. Might only been 7, but either 7 or 8 turnovers in the entire second half. It's just everything they did in the second half to win a game against Santa Clara, they simply couldn't do it tonight. And that's problematic for this team because they should have the advantage in a situation like playing the second game in 24 hours. Their 9-man rotation should have an advantage. And yet, very first game of the season where the Billikens bench does almost nothing, only 4 points from the bench. They have been well into double figures every single game this season, and that evaporated tonight.
Yeah, and it was similar for last night. Santa Clara was a first half team, and they tended not play well in the second half. Stanford was the same way heading into tonight. For the season, their scoring margin was plus 38 in the first half, but they were just plus 27 in the second half. Their only loss this season, home game against Seattle. Stanford got outscored by 13 points in the second half and lost that game by 8. So the Billikens, I think Stanford adjusted defensively where they started packing the paint, and SLU did not. They failed to be as aggressive as they were in the first half, and they just weren't hitting shots. I think that at the end of the night, I thought we were going to see some 3-point shooting regression or progression to the mean tonight after a tough night last night, but they finished tonight 5 of 20 from 3, just 25%. And Stanford, not a good 3-point shooting team for the season, but they finished tonight 13 of 27 for 48%. It's just that's the variance that gets you. Stanford for the season. I lost my stat where Stanford, their 3-point percentage defense for the season, they've been terrible. 317th in the country. But the Billikens, I think it was more the Billikens and Stanford.
And
Billikens,
that's the thing is that percentage in the country. It's you always wonder, like, are you just getting hit against, or are you letting up too many opportunities? And I would say that Stanford is not a good 3-point defending team because SLU had the opportunities, just like last night against Santa Clara, just tons of open chances, and nobody was hitting them. I mean, obviously Trey Green and Ashan Sharma did hit all 5 of the threes for the Billikens, but also Trey Green missed 2, and only one of them I thought was they really needed, and it would have been incredible. But Ashan Sharma goes 3 for 8, and then everybody else is 0 for the entire game. I mean, they're up 13-26 at some point, and they're 2 from 11 from deep. The fact that they couldn't get this game together and win on the twos was also frustrating, partially because it's another night where they just couldn't hit layups, 16-31 in layups. Another night where they're below 50% in what should be the highest percentage shot you have, other than free throws.
Yep, the 2-point percentage tonight, it was really good in the first half. They were right up close to 60%, which is usually where they are. The second half, that was a disaster. They finished the night from 2-point shots, 18 of 41. That's 44%. So Stanford, they were facing a team that really doesn't defend very well inside. They started 207th in the country in 2-point field goal percentage defense. Stanford did, but SLU just got away from it, couldn't hit shots, and then they stopped rebounding too. They were so good on the boards in the first half, and then that offensive rebound margin, got them much closer in the second half, and of course they give up the huge one at the very end.
Safariello's Billikens were dominating in the first half. They got lazy in the second half, and I'd hate to say this, but the Billikens are going to have to win almost every single game to even think about knocking on the door in the top 25. Schedule has too many cupcakes. Frankly, Safari Elvis, I don't care about the Billikens being ranked in the top 25 this season. That is immaterial. I mean, it would be nice, but to your point, it's probably not going to happen, and that doesn't worry me. I don't care about being – the Billikens should not worry about being a top 25 team in college basketball. They need to worry about being a top 64 team in college basketball because they have to make the tournament, bottom line. And so you're right. The schedule has too many cupcakes. I was going back and forth with another chatter who says, that's pretty much their at-large bid. And it's like, well, they've won the more important game of this tournament. I mean, the Santa Clara game, as to Josh Schertz's point to what we talked about, the Santa Clara game is the more important game of this pair by far. There's a very good chance that Stanford gets absolutely just shit-rocked in their ACC schedule, does like a Mizzou almost going 0 for. It wouldn't shock me if they win 2 or 3 conference games. So this isn't going to be, it's going to be a bad loss in that they're not going to be a good team. I guess you could look at it that way. But I mean, the Santa Clara loss or Santa Clara win was a huge win, and getting out of this tournament with just that, not ideal, but still a pretty good start. Obviously, you have to go out on Tuesday and beat up Loyola Marymount. That's the bottom line. To Elvis's point, I mean, if you want to be an at-large team, I don't care about ranking. If you want to be an at-large team, they're pretty much going to have to, clean everything out here.
Yeah, going into this 3-game stretch, these 2 games last night and today, and then Loyola Marymount 2-1. That I deem that as acceptable. Really, that was I was projecting in the non-conference they would finish with 1 loss. So hopefully this is the only loss tonight. It didn't hurt them in the metrics too bad. They dropped to 54 in KenPom. I think they were either 49 or 50 heading into the game. But just from a big picture perspective, I mean, Stanford is a average at best ACC team, but most likely below average. And I think just my expectations of SLU being like an elite team where they could be in the top 25 a good chunk of the season, be one of the premier mid-majors in the country. I feel like these last 2 games have showed me, okay, I think this is a good team, but to start having huge dreams about this team of being oh, maybe they could make a Cinderella run in the NCAA tournament, I feel like that's a stretch at this point. I still think this is a team that's going to compete at the very top of the A10, but you got about 4 or 5 teams that are in the top 75 at KenPom in the A10. It's going to be a dogfight in this league, and there's not going to be too many easy wins. I feel like the A10 feels stronger than it's been in recent years.
So they did tip off tonight at 49th. So 49. Yeah, they get knocked down to 54. Again, Stanford is a top 90 team in the country. They got another top 90 team, San Francisco, ranked 91st right now. That one's coming up after Loyola Marymount and then Central Michigan. So really 2 more solid games on the schedule. Obviously the mark though for KenPom is that they do have Loyola Marymount as a legitimate matchup, and then VCU. When you look at just how KenPom breaks down, VCU, Dayton, George Mason are all good games for the Billikens. And they also have Rhode Island, Davidson, George Washington. So the A-10 looking good right now. If they can continue to stay up, they'll give the Billikens some quality wins throughout the conference slate. But again, they will have to dominate the conference slate as well. I mean, this team can't get in that large bid and not win 27, 28 games.
Yeah, there's currently 5 teams in the top 75 in KenPom, VCU, SLU, GW, George Mason, and Dayton. Rhode Island's at 95. So 6 teams in the top 100. It's going to be a tough conference. And I guess, I think that's kind of one of my big takeaways is I was kind of hoping this could be a team. I was thinking of Schertz and his Indiana State team that could roll up 30 wins. I think they only lost like 3 games. And I'm thinking to myself, could this be a season like that for SLU? And I think I've seen these past couple games. Again, good team, but is this going to be an elite mid-major like Indiana State was a couple years ago? I just feel like that's probably a stretch.
Yeah, that's a good point here. We got to talk about some of our wonderful sponsors here. And unfortunately, one of the sponsors, not unfortunately the sponsors, we love our good friends at Home Bank, but they sponsor our money moment of the game brought to you by Home Bank. And unfortunately, I think there really is only one choice. If we're being objective about what the money moment in this game, and it is not a Billiken moment, we're going to have to give it to the Stanford Cardinal late in the game. They're at the line. They miss their second of a 1-and-1. The rebound is caught, kicked out to Benny Geeler, a starting guard who had not scored that entire game. He puts up a rainbow shot, and the Stanford Cardinal walk away with a shocking 78-77 comeback victory. That is our money moment of the game. We'll get through that and tell you about our wonderful sponsors at Home Bank. This Billikens postgame brought to you by our business banking partners at Home Bank. From business lending to everyday banking, Home Bank has been with us since day one as a trusted partner, because business isn't just about numbers, it's about relationships, especially this business. And with Home Bank, those relationships make all the difference. Home Bank is the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. That's Home Bank, member FDIC. More than a bank, they're your business partners. Rough moment there for the Billikens. Not a lot more we can say about what happened in that second half. We know it. They're sloppy. They turn the ball over too much. And if they're not going to hit threes, the offense obviously is going to have a little bit of a ceiling on it as well. But I mean, everything else I'm looking at here, Eric Sontag, I mean, almost 20 fast break points, 13 offensive rebounds, 16 second chance point, double digits points off opponents' turnovers. I mean, 36 points in the paint. I mean, it's not terrible. I like
free throws. How about the free throws? They're still there.
Yeah, 26 of 28 is absolutely an insane number there. I was looking at the second half, by the way. Going for the full game, by the way, with the bench scoring. So we got 19 bench points, 12 from Sharma, 2 from Thames, 2 from Dunlap, and 3 from Paul Otieno. Obviously, Sharma 3 for 8 from deep. That was big there. But yeah, the bench scoring for me is really the one number that jumps out to me as a negative for the Billikens. Every other hard number here, how do you lose this basketball game? It's inexcusable.
I was curious what you thought about the rotation, because Schertz tightened it up tonight, where it was really 6 of the 9 guys got most of the playing time. Thames only played 13 minutes. Dunlap played 8. Otieno only played 13 minutes as well.
I think Otieno, it looked to me like Otieno might have been, was he being just cautious? Because Otieno had 2 fouls in the first half and only had 6 minutes in the first half, but then he only plays 7 in the second. So, is it just, I wonder if maybe we're seeing a little bit of last night where Santa Clara really was able to expose the 2 big combo of Avila and Otieno. And so maybe they thought we don't have an easy fix for that. So we'll have that look a little bit less, but you'd think that would mean maybe a little bit less minutes for Robbie Avila, who didn't have a great game, and more minutes for Otieno, who gives you that defense, who gives you the shot block, and gives you the rebounding. Little confused about exactly why we saw this game pulling things back a little bit. Seems like, on the second game in 24 hours, this would be the game to really even things out and play all 9, even more so than you have in some previous games.
I agree. And in the second half, when Stanford's making this run, it just feels like Schertz didn't search for answers maybe as much as I thought that he potentially would, where he was kind of sticking again with kind of that main 6. McCautry had a really good first half where he was stuffing the stat sheet. He finishes with 8 points, 6 rebounds and 5 assists. So a good floor game, a good bounce back from last night. But I thought in the second half,
but
I mean,
again,
really nobody in the second half was really able to make a difference because Stanford just kind of really imposed their will on SLU.
Amari McCautry's second half, 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting, 3 rebounds, 0 assists, 2 turnovers. He did have 2 blocks and a steal in the second half. He had no defensive big plays in the first half, but the fact that he turned the ball over and wasn't becoming the playmaker he needs to be, because I don't think some people realize how often the ball is in Amari McCautry's hands during a SLU basketball game. I mean, right now, if you had to count possessions, I would say he is the Billikens' leading ball handler this year. And so to see him have a 5-assist first half and to follow it up with a 0-assist second half, that's worrisome. And when it comes to Amari McCautry, the talent's there, the skill's there. Where's the consistency? That's always going to be the question around Amari McCautry until he answers it. And after those 2 back-to-back 20-point games against Lindenwood and GCU, he then goes quiet and struggles at times against Santa Clara. And then he has a big first half and then goes quiet in the second half against Stanford the next night. It's not the consistency you want to see.
No, it's not. And, they were inviting him to shoot from 3.
Too. Everyone does. And frankly, everyone should, because he's a very inconsistent 3-point shooter.
Yeah, Sharma and Green were the only 2 players on the roster to knock down 3-point shots tonight. That's concerning to me. Just seeing this in back-to-back games was very, very surprising. Anyone can have an off shooting night as a team. Like, that's going to happen. But to see it back-to-back nights, I'm hoping that's not a trend.
It can't happen again. I have no problem coming out and saying right now that is the only 2-game stretch that the Billikens will shoot 25% across. From deep, that is.
Yeah.
Actually, there's no chance they shoot 25% from the field either. But so from deep, that's the only 2-game stretch we'll see this season where they shoot 25% from deep, especially if you go back and look at the quality of the attempts. There's no way they should have shot 25%. They were getting wide open looks all day long against Santa Clara, and plenty of the ones tonight were pretty good looks too.
Yeah, they need to in fact clean up the turnovers as well. I mean, the first half was beautiful. They had 3 turnovers at the half. I looked at their turnover percentage at halftime and it was 8% for their turnovers. They'd run teams
by double digits if they did that in 2 halves, just like they would have tonight.
Right. And just the math of the game I thought was going to work out just with how well they were shooting from the free throw line. How many points they were getting on offensive rebounds and just really controlling the glass. And Stanford, like, to their credit, they really made some halftime adjustments. You could tell in terms of how they were defending. Everything came easy in the first half to the Billikens, and then the second half just felt like every possession was a struggle. Okori only finished with 17. He had been averaging 24. So
that's the thing is he finished the first half with 14 points on 3 of 7 shooting. He finishes the game with 17 points on 3 of 14 shooting. He goes 0 for 7 from the field in the second half. Only goes 3 for 4 from the charity stripe. He has 3 points, and it's Chisholm Okpara who's actually the one who ends up beating you. And Den Smith, Jared Den Smith comes off and has 12 points off the bench, and they're the ones that murder you. The fact that it wasn't even Abuka Corey, that's also got to be something that's going to stick in a lot of Billikens fans' cross, and it should, because if you're going to lose a game like that, it should be the best player having to make plays. And outside of a few moments where he was part of a good Okpara possession, Okori wasn't making the plays in the second half.
No, he wasn't, and it was variance from 3 on the other side with Stanford. We just shooting, what was it for? Oh, now I got to add on my screen above my stats. Oh, there we go. But yeah, 48% from 3, where SLU's 25%. That's usually flipped. It's like the free throws last night with Santa Clara was flipped. And so, we thought it looked like SLU was going to have enough tools in their toolbox to get this done, but they fell short because there's just too many holes in the boat, and the late game execution failed them.
Do you agree with following up 3?
Absolutely. 100%. I always do it. It looked like, I think they kind of got a break on the call. Like at first, first of all, I was thinking they should have fouled earlier. But then looking at the replay, I think they did foul earlier and they just didn't blow the whistle.
They did. He was trying to definitely foul earlier. And it was a weird call and it still ended up biting him in the ass. I always waffle back and forth. When you have ones tonight, it's one of those situations where, they still, they have to hit a 3. Like they have to hit the 3 at some point. And so like that, Santa Clara still got a chance to hit the 3 and beat you. And it would have only been a tie game if they hit the 3 in the other situation. So I waffle back and forth. Games like tonight really make me question the conventional wisdom of this moment. And I wonder if we'll get shirts questioning the conventional wisdom as well, because these things keep, at the same time though, if you're shirts, I bet you, I haven't been able to listen to the post game, and I would imagine it might not have started yet. He might be yelling a lot. But if I do get into it, I'll try to ask. I imagine his thing's going to be you just have to rebound, just make the rebound. And you watch the play. It's not that Otieno gets like completely outboxed. It's just like the angle of the ball. He boxes the guy out into the rebound. It goes exactly against them. One of the last things we'll do, unless more chats jump in here, Safari Ellis Avila is not living up to his potential. He had a fantastic game against Santa Clara yesterday. He missed too many paint bunny little floaters, push shots, whatever you want to call them, just little hangers that he usually either gets the foul call or hits in most games. But Robbie Avila just not the go-to player that you can lean on down the road. He only has 4 points, all of them at the charity stripe, goes 0 for 2, has 2 assists and 2 turnovers in the second half. So he has one of his better games against Santa Clara, and I think it was low-key one of the reasons they won that game. But tonight, he wasn't bad necessarily. He didn't make any colossal mistakes, but he has to be the player that gets you over the hump. And tonight, when the ball was in his hands, he was unable to do that. And that's, you can say that that's his potential, and therefore he's not living up to it. Some might say Safari Ellis is being a little harsh. I would say that all of our commentary about Robbie's numbers this season has been, well, they don't need him yet. They needed him in the second half, and he wasn't there. And that's disappointing.
Yeah, he only finishes 2 of 8 from the floor tonight. He did go 8 of 8 from the free throw line, which is great to see. But
love seeing that.
We saw this a lot last year. I think that the A10, and I know, obviously the ACC, it's a more physical league than what he saw in the Missouri Valley Conference. And Robbie's talked about that himself, where he's just like, hey, there was an adjustment period there to, there's just a bunch of dudes that you're going up against. And he was getting, when he tried to go to the basket tonight, usually he was just struggling. It looked a lot like last year when he was really trying to force things and really having a difficult time. And Stanford was really good inside. So he's just going to have to continue to just kind of let the game come to him and try not to force it. But I get it. When you got nobody hitting shots in your team, you feel like you do need to force it when you're kind of the face of the club. So, I still very high on Robbie overall. But yeah, it's just when he goes up against tough competition, you kind of see why he is, he's not going to be an NBA player. He could probably make a lot of money in Europe for a long time. But he struggles when he goes up against big, tough athletic teams.
No doubt about it. You will not struggle when it comes to Monday, December 1st. Our good friends at DraftKings will finally be available here in Missouri. Almost time to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. No wonder it's America's top-rated sportsbook app. The countdown is on. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day. That's December 1st, coming up on Monday with our good friends at DraftKings and our promo code STL Sports. To use it, just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that code STL Sports right there on your screen. New Missouri customers sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once DraftKings is live on December 1st. Coming up on Monday, that's code STL Sports. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, let us turn the proverbial page. LMU, Loyola Marymount, coming up on Tuesday. The goal for the Billikens on this 3-game road stretch was, as me and Eric talked about, go 2-1 and make sure at least one of those 2 is Santa Clara. So far, they have done half of that. They have to beat Loyola Marymount on Tuesday to actually finish this road trip on the positive side. And let's see if they actually can come out of Tuesday night as the better basketball team. We'll talk about that coming up on Tuesday. Before we go, though, Eric, your thoughts on what we need to see from the Billikens coming up facing off against Loyola Marymount.
Well, they got to clean up the late game execution. That's for sure.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's probably going to be another close game. It is going to be a 5-point projected spread, at least according to Ken Palm, 75-70 projected win for the Billikens. I quickly pulled up Loyola Marymount's profile. Defensively, they're very good against 2-point field goals, 19th in the country in 2-point field goal percentage. Defense, that's where the Billikens really, really struggled tonight. Again, I think they were about 58, 59% at halftime, and they finished the game at 41%.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be, a lot of teams are going to use this game, the second half in particular, on film of how to defend SLU. And I expect Loyola Marymount to have a very similar strategy as Stanford in the second half of packing the paint, make the Billikens make some threes. And until they show they can do that, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be another tight, frustrating game. One thing I want to mention to people with sports gambling going live in Missouri on Monday. So if you bet this game tonight, say you took SLU -1.5 and they're up by 2, late in the game, they hit the miracle shot, takes you from a win to a loss. Do not chase your losses like that. Just eat it. I know it's easy to go on tilt and then you want to fire a bet on the very next game you can to try and make it back. Don't do that. Take a breath, calm down, and just know that like tomorrow's another day. So definitely just be responsible with your bankroll. Take advantage of those bonus bets that you're getting from DraftKings, and just dip your toes in the water. Like, just take it easy, enjoy yourself, have some fun, but don't let this suck you in.
Do you have any idea what was happening before this game tipped off? I know the game's over, so it doesn't matter. It's after the fact, but this game opens up around, I think, 4 or 5 points,
yep,
and then closes at only 1.5 in favor of the Billikens. A lot of people were thinking there was going to be an injury that was going to come out a little late. We didn't see any of that. Any idea as to what maybe caused that line movement before the Billikens game?
No idea, because I was thinking maybe like, oh, there could be like some sharp money that was really, hammering Stanford. But this is a game. No. There's college football on all day. True. There's NFL game on today. SLU and Stanford is not exactly like a huge game that's getting a lot of, action in Vegas. So I thought the same thing. There must be some kind of injury to see a line move 3 points in a game like that. But these are the kinds of things you got to monitor, this kind of stuff, because usually if something moves, it's for a reason. And you see a game where it looks like the Billikens were going to win pretty easily, and it ends up again right around the spread. So they don't have these big casinos in Vegas for a reason. They know what they're doing out there.
There you go. The Billikens tip off against Loyola Marymount. It is a late one, 9 p.m. tip off for the Billikens on Tuesday night, but we will be here on the Billikens Central Postgame whenever that game ends, if it is in fact still on a Tuesday night. Might be a Wednesday morning. You never know. The Billikens fall in an absolute heartbreaker. They blow a 15-point second half lead and lose to Stanford 78-77 on a final shot, which came after an offensive rebound from a missed free throw. The Billikens cannot lose many more games the rest of this season. The margin for error was already thin, and he just took a little sliver right off it by letting this one slip away. So, will it be conference tournament or bust? We'll find out as this season continues. The Billikens have another chance to at least win the games in front of them. Loyola Marymount, a top 100 team, coming up on Tuesday night. Again, it is a late one, 9 p.m. tip off. You can listen to our good friend Bob Ramsey over at 104.1 KMOX. I believe that game is also going to be on ESPN Plus, if I'm correct. You can catch it there. And of course, afterwards, here on STL Sports Central, we will have Billikens Central Postgame. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Do it to all the shows on here. Do it to whatever you see on our social media. If you see a little post, you see previews, what have you, like, share, subscribe, repost, retweet, what have you. It helps us out here. If you like listening to us, 2 ways you can help us out. Retweet us whenever you see us and help us support the sponsors. If you need a friend, a friend in the banking business, call our friends at myhomebank.bank. Check them out at myhomebank.bank. And if you want to have a little fun on Monday morning, you can with our friends at DraftKings Sportsbooks. Make sure you're using that promo code STL Sports. For Eric Sontag, I'm Matthew Rocchio, and for the now, unfortunately, 6-1 Billikens after they fall tonight, we will be back on Tuesday evening. Have a great rest of your night, St. Louis.